So you have some standing timber and you're trying to figure out ways you can make some money on it. Maybe I can give you some ideas. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Corey. This is the Hill Custom Lumber YouTube channel. So yes, I'm out in the middle of my woods here, and what I'm actually doing is walking around checking my tree stands here before hunting season. And well, when I was thinking about doing that, it kind of inspired me for a topic for a video. So I know a lot of people in my audience have timberland, and I know there's probably gonna be a lot of people that just find this video out of the blue and you know, because they're curious about the subject matter. You own some timber one way or another. You inherited, you bought a homestead, you're a farmer and have some timber, whatever the case may be. You own timber and you're trying to figure out, well, how can I utilize that and make a few bucks? Well, let's run through a couple different options here, and we'll start at the very basic and we'll take it to the very advanced. You guys that follow my channel probably know, you know, where we're going to end up with this, but let's just start at the bare bones. What's the simplest way to make some money with the timber you own? Well, firewood, obviously. It takes a chainsaw and a pickup truck at the very least, and you can scale up from there, but it's probably the quickest, simplest way to make a buck out of your woodland. That being said, it's some of the hardest work and some of the lowest returns, quite honestly, if you value your time for anything. So let's put that aside. Next way, well, this is pretty straightforward and most of you would have thought of this already too. Hire a logger, have it select cut, clear cut, whatever your goals are. We're not getting into forest management in this video. I have other videos where I talk about what I do here in my forest for management to get the nicest timber, but you figure out what your end goal is, what you want the timber to look like. If you want deer habitat, if you want it clear cut to make a field, you figure that out. But that's a pretty straightforward option too. It's pretty easy to have somebody log it for you. Find a logger, come up with a contract that works for both of you, sit back, let them do the work. It's hands off, easy. So throw those two things aside, because that's pretty basic. Everybody thinks of that. We're going to get into more advanced things, how you can get a better return on your woodland. And quite honestly, you know, as much as I like walking through the woods and, well, it's a beautiful fall day, we're probably going to be better suited back at the mill. So I'm going to finish up what I'm doing in here, and I'm going to head back to the mill, and we'll pick up on where you go from, you know, the obvious basics. So let's say you're a little bit more ambitious and you don't want to just turn it over to a logger and you don't want to make firewood. You want more out of your timber. So obviously the next step is going to be using a sawmill, turning those logs into lumber. So I would not recommend running out and buying a sawmill right out of the gate. If you've never done that kind of work before, there's a steep learning curve. My recommendation always is harvest some logs, find somebody in your area that custom sawmills. It's actually quite common these days. Band saws are very popular, and likely you can find somebody in your area that will saw your logs into lumber. And that will really unlock a lot of possibilities for you, whether it's your own projects around your farm or home, or you want to sell some lumber. You know, sawing lumber and taking that log and making it green lumber makes it much more usable. You know, we can see that came from a beautiful red oak that if you were to sell firewood, well, that would be a shame to cut up a log that nice into firewood. If you were to sell it to a logger, you would end up getting pennies on what, you know, its potential value is. So every step of legwork you do, you're making more money. So once we get to the green lumber phase, you got some beautiful lumber here. The problem is, in this case, with a hardwood like red oak, you know, if you wanted to use this for cabinets, it really should be kiln dried. Well, I know you're not going to run out and build a kiln, at least not off the bat. Maybe, you know, if this, you find this is something you love, maybe you'll eventually get into all this kind of small stuff. There's There's small scale ways and large scale ways to do all this stuff, the sawmilling, drying, everything I'm about to show you. But you know, find somebody, whether it be your sawyer, that offers custom sawing and custom kiln drying. I do both here. But there's also people out there, it's a little bit harder to find, but there's people that'll custom kiln dry. Once you have this lumber sawed and kiln dried, now you have a very usable, high value product. I'm sure most of you know, if you're watching this, you know, with some of the finer hardwoods like oak, cherry, maple, walnut, you know, they trade for a pretty good buck, you know, especially compared to what your stumpage price would be on standing timber. So right there, you're adding a tremendous amount of value. Once it's kiln dried, now you've got a product that's ready to use. You can make cabinets, you can make furniture, flooring, 100, 1,000 different products can be made from that, either by yourself or, you know, you can just sell it as kiln dried lumber retail, and try to make some money that way. But we can even go a step further. Let's go up to the shop. So we're in the wood shop now, which is nice because we're actually out of the wind. But yeah, so now you have your kiln dried hardwood or softwood, wherever the case may be. And you know, either you can turn it over to a shop, a custom shop that'll make you a custom piece of furniture, or you can make an investment into some basic shop tools, a planer, table saw, jointer, stuff like that. And you can kind of begin making your own furniture, your own crafts, things like that. Every little bit you add to it, you're adding value. You know, you're making it a more marketable product. So I don't really do custom furniture here for people, but I will take their wood and I do custom flooring, custom paneling, molding. In fact, we'll go upstairs and I'll show you some of the finished products that we produce. So in my office, I'll give you a pretty good representation of different things we offer here. You can see the pine paneling on the ceiling. We've got some pine beadboard on the walls, and then all kinds of custom hardwood flooring. And basically I show you this, not so much to be an advertisement for myself, but just to show you the possibilities of what can be done with your timber. So really there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can, if you're a do-it-yourselfer like I am, you can buy the tooling, you can do all of this yourself every single step of the way. You can put the money in your pocket every single step of the way, or you can farm it out, so to speak. If you can somehow harvest the logs and get them to a business similar to mine, they can take it from there and they can make your logs a finished product. What really is a nice setup for us, I get involved with new constructions where they're clearing land to build a house. Well, they have all that timber that has to come off. Well, if the homeowner is savvy and thinking ahead, they'll save their best timber. They'll get in touch with me. We'll work out a plan. We'll make them all kinds of custom millwork stuff for their new construction. And it works out great for everybody. So I'm just giving you some ideas. You know, basically the rule of thumb in the business is every step of the way you take that product, you're kind of doubling your money. So if you go from standing timber to a marketable log, doubles the value. Marketable log to green lumber, double the value. Green lumber to kiln dried lumber, double the value. Kiln dried lumber to, well, finished product, that can actually vary quite a bit depending on what it is and all this stuff. That's a general rule of thumb. Not always the case, sometimes more, sometimes a lot less. But you know, if you take a nice log and turn it into beautiful stain grade molding, that's a huge win. And well, I'm sure you're all aware of the price of things these days. You know, it can be a tremendous cost savings if you have a way to use the timber yourself. So it's just a little food for thought for you guys. I know there's a lot of people that end up one way or another, they have timber and they want to get more out of it. They're trying to make a little bit of money off of it. And you know, that's beyond the basics of just selling firewood or actually selling the timber. With a little bit of legwork, with a little bit of planning, you can actually get way more return out of it. You know, either, like I said, by doing it all yourself, if you're that motivated, or by finding a partner you can work with that'll be able to handle some of the logistics for you and take your raw product and turn it into something finished. So I know this is just a quick general video, doesn't have a whole lot of detail. I would invite you guys to go back through my channel, and I have detailed videos on everything from harvesting the standing timber to making the finished product. So you can see everything in between, the sawing, the kiln drying, you name it. But my goal with this video is just to get you guys thinking a little bit, some different possibilities, and maybe get your wheels spinning on some projects you could do to capitalize on your standing timber. So I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.